I'm Richard Pyatt. Welcome back to EOS Traction for your workplace goals. Michele Mollard is a certified EOS Implementer Entrepreneurial Operating System. We've done a number of these episodes, and we invite you to subscribe where you get podcasts. Just type it in, EOS Traction for your workplace goals. Bloop, there will be. And there'll be a subscribe button you can choose and be alerted when these episodes come available. Michele Mollard, as I say, is a certified EOS implementer and sharing insights about your workplace goals and how EOS can help with them is the focus. Hi, Michele.
Hi, Richard.
Boy, we have special guests today. Tell us who we have.
I am so excited. We have Denny Stults, visionary of Visiting Angels in Kalamazoo, Michigan, a regionally area, actually, not just Kalamazoo, but they do Southwest Michigan. And then Ellen Kluck, which is the integrator at said same company. And I'm going to let a little secret, father-daughter specialty right here. Just a dynamic duo as we talk about with the visionary and integrator, but even more dynamic because it's father-daughter. So super excited to have you both. Thank you both for joining us today.
Hello.
Thanks for having us, Michele.
Yes. Hello, Denny and Ellen. Thank you for being here. What does Visiting Angels do? Let's find that out first.
Well, we are in the business of keeping people safe and comfortable and independent in their homes. And typically, we work with folks that have some type of a physical challenge or a cognitive challenge, maybe a family together, maybe a single person, but we send angel care professionals into their home to do whatever it is that they need. It could be cook a meal, play a game, help with personal care, showering, toileting, those types of things. And we do that for an hour at a time, up to 24 hours in a day.
Ellen, this is interesting because I think sometimes the notion is when these challenges are presented, being in the home is for a limited time only, and what you're doing is assuring that that isn't the case.
That's so true. I think that a lot of people don't dream about aging in a nursing home or aging in somewhere other than the house they've lived in, maybe just for a short while or for 77 years. So we want to become part of their care team to help them stay in the place that they want to be.
All right. So, Michele, when you meet someone like Denny and Ellen, and they've brought evidently some challenges that they've faced to you, what do you want to know, and how did it eventuate with Visiting Angels?
Yeah, maybe Ellen and Denny did not know this at lunch, when we were at lunch when we first met, but definitely first trying to figure out, are they ready to get unstuck? So the stuck is always very apparent. I knew what it was when they came to me. Once we got into the meeting, it was very apparent to me what it was or several things that it was, but it is the mindset of I'm done being stuck. And so that's what we're really looking for. And then the second part is, are they done being stuck, and then do they want to grow, right? So our psychographics is somebody that is more afraid of status quo than is of change, right? And so sometimes they want to get unstuck, but the uncomfortable part of getting unstuck, they're not ready for. And so I'm looking for those things to, no one really wants to be uncomfortable. That's for sure. But these guys, in the years that we have been working together, have transformed right through that uncomfortable and several starts of uncomfortable. They have hit several ceilings along their journey as well. And so they just never stopped, right? And so that's what you're really looking for is for a company that's like, oh, I hit another ceiling. All right, how do we get through it? Oh, hit another one. How do we get through it? And this Denny, Ellen, a team of now 100, I think, guys, you can correct me, just a massive team to be able to do that, all of them really driving for it. So that's what we're looking for.
We are 130 now.
Oh, goodness.
We're growing.
Wow. Holy
Not
moly.
stuck.
I think that they started with me, like we only see each other once a year now in the journey that they're on. They've kind of gone through the heavy part of the 2-year journey with me on a regular basis. And I think 70 or 80 was maybe where the number was it would be, I can't know exactly, 3 or 4 years ago is where we've done it, because this will be our 3rd or 4th annual. So, yeah.
Wow. There's
Yeah.
evidence of being unstuck, right? And so we're saying stuck, but Denny and Ellen, did you feel stuck? I mean, what motivated you to want to do this?
We both came to home care with no experience, and we started from the ground up, just Ellen and I and one other individual. So that was 2017. We started a little bit slow. We got some traction. And we took on a partner in 2018, somebody that bought property around us, and together we were moving the business forward. I brought some skills from the corporate world at Kellogg's for 37 years. Ellen brought some people skills with her recent degree in psychology from Michigan. And then we had our business partner who was a corporate lawyer and wanted to get into the business. Well, we started building and getting to know each other and thinking that we had things going on. And then we went through COVID, and our partner kind of decided she wanted to go do other things. And then Ellen and I were at the point where, what are we going to do? How are we going to move this? And there was, some things that we had to work through. And fortunately, my wife, Susan, went on a golf outing and met Michelle in, I think, Grand Rapids. And she came back and she said, you ought to look at this EOS thing. And so we sat down, as she mentioned, I think it was in 2023, and we signed on the bottom line. Our partner decided to go in a different direction. So Ellen and I met with Michelle for our first meeting, and the journey began.
Boy, you never know what might happen when you meet somebody on the seventh tee or something.
Right? Yes. Yes.
This is a
Yes.
typical situation, Michelle. Describe that. You meet folks. There's in Denny and Ellen's case, there's a family dynamic. There was an outside person. There's a lot of things at play here, right?
Yeah, I would say there's no typical. It has been all over the place in the journey of where they're coming to and how they're meeting and what's going on from there. And so it's definitely not typical. The typical is they've hit a ceiling and they're just stuck. That's the only thing that's typical. It's father-daughter, it's two brothers, it's husband and wife. Scenarios are different with no partners, partners. Some of them come at 2 million, some of them coming at me at 10 million. Right, it just depends on the journey. So there's really no typical. It's really about I want to move forward. I want to go. And sometimes we've got it organically growing this organization. And I don't know for these guys, but organically we've done it. But now we got to strategically do it. And how do we do that? And EOS is just an operating system about how the humans operate within the business. And so it was just really getting them succinct on how the humans operate. How do they meet? How do they respect each other with core values? How do they have goals? How do they have all those things? And it really does that. This team does all the hard work. As I say, I'm the girl at the front of the room with the marker, but they do all the hard work, right? And so I just give them the framework and teach EOS. So I'm a coach, facilitator, and teacher, right? So I teach EOS, facilitate the discussion, coach the game from the outside, but these guys do the work. There is no part of me in their business doing the work. They've done all the work.
Ellen, talk about what you understood to be one of the main reasons why you decided to do this. And here's why I asked that. Some folks are watching this and they're running their finger around it saying, geez, should I do this? Should I not? How do I know? What tipped the scale for you?
Well, I was going to quit. That tipped the scale.
Oh, my.
So that was a big one. Denny had been grooming me, unbeknownst to me, for years to take on ownership, and I was really hesitant to do so. And when the opportunity arose to do that, it was, do I take this on or do I say, sayonara, I'm going to try something else? And bringing Michele and the EOS structure gave me a lifeline to be able to say, I can do this. I had it in me all along. I just needed some extra tools to be able to proceed forward. And you mentioned, Richard, a lot of other people out there. I was sitting in 4 seats within the company, and seats are roles. So I was spreading myself very thin, doing 4 people's jobs. And over the course of the first year and a half, I narrowed it down to only 2, and that felt great. And now I'm just doing my main role, and I am really glad that I chose the EOS journey instead of trying to build my career elsewhere.
You run into this, Michele, I trust, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Folks are spread out 4 jobs. Whoa. This is a lot of harriedness that happens, I think, in those situations. Boy, this is a real solution in that way.
Yeah, I think that people don't realize that as they organically grow, it just happens. You just kind of fall into that seat and you don't even know that you are until you kind of put it back. I always tell the teams, look at it from a board of directors, right? Elevate it and not even look as employees and look at this from a board of director and going, oh my goodness, right? Like when you step outside the box to look in, right? And so I always say you can't read the label from inside the bottle, right? You can't. And so they're in every company. I'm in my own bottle. You're in your own bottle, right, Richard? And it's hard to see it from the outside. And so many times people find themselves in a lot of seats. And so it is, I think about 100% of your time, even if that's 60 hours, if you're in 4 seats, I don't do math in public because I'm not good at it, but whatever that is, that's 10 hours more, right? 12, I think my math says maybe 12 hours that you're doing each seat, and they're full-time seats. And so you're doing that maybe a quarter of the effort, all your effort wanting to be in it, but a quarter of the effort by production, right, of being able to do that job well. And so when you have 50 hours or even 40 hours to do one job, yay, right? That's what we're trying to get to.
Yeah, wow. So, Denny, what was your view as the EOS opportunity was put forth? You had a perspective too. Ellen shared hers. What was yours?
Well, we had put together business strategy and we're working at, but in the process, we weren't communicating very well. I like to say there were a lot of wounds that we just kept putting Band-Aids on. When we got Michele, she started ripping the Band-Aids off and exposed some things that we probably knew, and we could fix some things we didn't know. Some things we wanted to fix, some things we didn't, but we had to. And that process was emotional, and we couldn't have done it on our own. I mean, there were a lot of tears, which just seems odd in a business setting, but that's where we had to kind of tear ourselves down and then build ourselves back up with the tools. And the tools are super simple. Going through the corporate world, we had the best of everything, all the consultants and things coming in. Baloney. It's the simple tools that you do every day, and you know what your role is, and sometimes you stray from that, but the other people see you and they call you on it, and then you get back in line and the thing works. So it's been amazing to me. I actually want to take it to some nonprofits that I'm involved with now, because we're so efficient here. If you're in a meeting with, or in a business or in an effort with somebody and they're not, it just makes you crazy. So anyway, that was kind of the way I felt through the process. And now I wake up happy, and I'm doing what I should do and what I want to do. And, Ellen can manage this growing business. It's crazy. And everybody knows their role. And we can talk about it because we know what we're supposed to do. It's clear.
Ellen, you talked about one job, 4 jobs, one role, 4 roles. That's one comparison, like Denny has alluded, that is different now than it was. Does something else come to mind, anything else come to mind from yesterday to now and the difference?
Well, we've doubled our business, so that's a big difference.
Well, there you go.
We evaluate our organization based on how many hours of care we provide a week. And when we started with Michele, we were around 900 hours a week, and now we're looking at 2,000. So that means growth in positions, that means growth in revenue and profit, and in being able to give back to all of the wonderful people who work for us. So before we started with Michele, we were just putting out fires left and right, and now we have a system to be proactive and to create programs for our angels that work for us, as everyone is an angel who works for us. Denny may tell you differently for himself, but we are all angels. And, we have programs to help them advance their careers, to get bonuses, to have benefits, to have work-life harmony. And those opportunities didn't exist at the start, and they do now. And we just look forward to offering as much as we can to the wonderful people who work at Visiting Angels.
Michele, is this typical? And by that, I mean, it's very clear to Denny and Ellen, 900 hours, 2,000 hours. Our work has doubled. It's in the stats, is that typical that it's that easy to see the difference between yesterday and today on either side of the EOS journey?
Yeah, and I want to make this very clear. It is easy to see the difference. It is not easy to do. Right? So
Okay.
EOS is a simple set of practical tools, not easily done. To transform your business is not for the faint of heart. Right. And so it's just not. It's a new way of looking at potentially everything. And I would say that one of the best things about EOS, it allows teams to address the team health, which is honestly what gets in the way the most, right? And so we don't really know what those are. And some are slight team health issues and some are long-term team health issues, and going back years or going back a year, right? And so there's no way to know what that is. But if it's a year old, it doesn't mean it's less impactful than something that's 30 years old, right? It's not because of the longevity of that. So I just wanted to share that yes, these results, and Ellen and Denny can speak to it. The first year, I think they thought I was going to kill them because in the fact that slow them down, I was slowing them down, going like pull on the reins of this horse, this thoroughbred that wanted to run. These two and the rest of their leadership team are amazing, amazing leaders. And so I'm slowing them down, going, just hold on. And I knew, Ellen and I have had some other conversations. There's some things that they've done, some changing wise. And as soon as I was able to let go of the reins when they got into the Kentucky Derby, which was year 2, a little bit into year 1, but definitely into year 2, I'm just a jockey sitting on there praying I don't get thrown off because they're going so fast, right? And so again, that's really how it feels for most teams. It is a slow process. There's not massive growth in the first year. Again, more about systems, processes, internal stuff, internal and humans, and then it's the numbers that can see it in that year 2, 3, 4. And these guys have been running their lives and their teams without me. Like I say, I just get with them now twice, once a year, for a 2-day. And this is the second time we've done that. So they have very little guidance from me now. They have the foundation. They know what to do. Some conversations once in a while, but they're just, other teams are different. Some teams, after they graduate, as we call it, call me often, which is fine. And some teams are, it's just a matter of the leadership team and what they need. And I'm always there. They're always a client of mine, whether they like it or not. They can say, we don't need you now for the annual, which would make me so happy, which would be fine. But they're always a client. And as soon as they call, they're in the queue just as my clients that are active, right? And it's just how and I say this as me with Ellen and Denny, but the whole implementer community, right? There's 850 of us around the world that care like this. Like there's nobody that I have never met and I met a lot of them. Pretty social person. I've met a lot of them, not a one of them. So the journey is the same and the outcomes are the same, just as in the journey. The foundation is the same. The journey is very, very different, but the outcomes are the same.
Denny and Ellen, this question is for either one of you. What has this clarity done for you as you look ahead to the future? This must have unclouded any sort of fog that might have been in the way, or most of it.
For me, it unclouded everything. Not that it doesn't get cloudy. The fog does roll in from time to time. And then we just look at what our future is going to be through the VTO. Are we on track? Are we off track? How are we going to get there? And it's very easy to get back on track. The other thing for me is just we always thought we had great values and we thought we were a great company and everybody loved us. When we finally put our core values down on paper, that really crystallized things too. And we've made an adjustment on it since we did that. We made little tweaks, but basically that's the core of why we exist and who we are and the type of people we want to attract. So it's very, very efficient, even when days get cloudy.
How about you, Ellen? What do you think?
Yeah, I think for me, I was living just day to day, and I'm in my mid-30s and built a family. I have 3 young children, a 3-year-old boy and twin 7-month-old girls. So I didn't know how I was going to balance such a demanding position, but now it's very clear. It's very clear to have the path at work, and we know where we're going to end up, because with EOS you create a big, hairy, audacious goal known as a BHAG. And as I mentioned, our hours are at 2,000 and we want to be at 6,000 in 2032. So we know where we're going, and we know what tools to use to get there. And then it's not a sense of ease, but a sense of certainty then allows you in your personal life, and me in my personal life, to, when I'm at work, I focus on work. And when I go home, I focus on home. And I can be the person I want to be with the fog cleared.
Big, hairy, audacious goal, BHAG. It fits. I get it now.
Yeah.
All right. I
BHAG.
want to ask one final thing from both of you. Someone's listening to this again. They're running their finger around it. They're trying to decide. Do you have any advice for them that might help with the decision?
A simple version of a pro-con list, but making that con list all the things that are a problem, and then showing that to Michele or any EOS implementer and saying, can you help me with this?
Denny, anything to add to that?
It's hard to beat that one, Ellen.
That's a good one.
I think the only thing that I would add is look at where you want to be and be willing to consider new ways to get there. And if you can get to that point, you can make this investment and it becomes very clear where your strengths are going to fly and where you're not strong, it needs to go to somebody else that is, and make that organization. As Ellen said, she was sitting in a couple of 4 seats. I was sitting in a couple of seats. And when we finally determined the structure, we got really, really good people in those seats. And I think that's the key to our success and continuing.
And if you want to hear about just that alone, there are episodes in this series talking about the right people in the right seats. So you can hear more about that by listening or watching those. Michele, is this all folks need to understand about this? I mean, Ellen and Denny clearly stated it. You want to do something new. You want to see it in a different way. This is a potential way to do that. What do you tell folks when they have to make up their mind and they're trying to decide?
Yeah, I think Ellen is right. Pros, cons lists. I think I would just add on the idea of, if you want vision for your organization where everybody is on the same boat as you, which we don't often have, rowing in the same direction with those oars in at the same time. If you want that, if you want accountability and discipline in the organization, some of your employees will not make the journey. Ellen and Denny have learned that as well, as far as leadership team members as well as employees. Some people just are not ready for accountability and discipline, but you will find the ones that do, and you will absolutely attract them. And so if you want that, and then ultimately if you want a healthy, cohesive team, as I said, the kids are watching. And so as goes the leadership team, so goes the rest of the organization. And so leaders have made everything that's great, and they should relish in that. But they, just like raising children, have potentially made the errors or the problems in the organization. And that you have to own that, right? And that's the journey that Ellen and Denny went on, is just looking at that. So I think it's more about that vision, traction, healthy part too. Not more about, but it is as well as what Denny and Ellen had said, that really gets there if they want to go to the next level.
Denny Stults, Ellen Kluck, Visiting Angels in Southwest Michigan. So glad to have heard your story, your EOS Traction journey. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Richard. It was fun.
Thanks, guys.
Michele is a certified EOS implementer. Her contact information is in the show notes for this episode. You don't have to wait till that golf outing where maybe you'll meet her in the clubhouse or something. You can reach out right now and ask the questions that this has stirred up in you. And we invite you to subscribe to EOS Traction for your workplace goals for more episodes like this. Take care.